Hello and welcome to this edition of Business Now here on Zodiak. My name is Banda. Coming up in the next half hour or so, we delve into the just ended Business Leader Summit organized by the Malawi Confederations of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, MCCCI. Also coming up in the program, Eskom says it wants to venture into the ICT market. We talk to the CEO, Kankwamba Kumwenda. We have these and many more. Please do stick around. We first start with the thoughts of the Chief Executive Officer of Conglomerate Press Corporation, Ronald Mangani, who says that the private sector needs to play a more significant role to turn around the country's misfortunes in as far as the country's economy is concerned. Mangani was sharing his insights at the just ended 2024 Business Leader Summit that was held in Nkopola in Mangochi. It was organized by the Malawi Confederations of Chambers of Commerce and Industry, MCCCI. Mangani highlighted that the current taxes that government has introduced are rather punitive and continue to deter investors from considering a possible investment in the country. Let's hear the thoughts of Dr. Ronald Mangani, a former Secretary to Treasury to government.
What we put into what we become as a country is ours, and nobody can take that away from us. And therefore, we need to be as responsive as possible to the operating control environment in order to sweat the opportunities, to fully utilize the opportunities that exist in spite of the challenges that we have as a country. From where we stand, the private sector is located as the engine for growth. The economy is not growing. It means that the private sector is not meeting the expectation of the economy with respect to being the engine for growth. Rather than sit and curse the darkness, rather than sit and complain about the operating environment, and I'm not saying here that we should stop complaining about the operating environment, but as we do so, we need to take full advantage of the opportunities that already exist, so that the government then also will have the motivation to create more and more opportunities for the private sector. Because it is very clear to us that the challenges that we face are challenges of production. The economy is not producing enough, and therefore it is not exporting enough, and therefore it is not able to meet the consumption demands of the domestic economy. And that in itself not only means a reduction in exports or low levels of exports, but it also means high levels of imports. I have huge complaints about the tax regime. I mean, as an individual or a natural person, you pay 30 to 35% as pay. The residual 65% is taxed for everything that you buy in the shops through VAT at 16.5%. What remains as disposable income, therefore, would be something in the region of 50%. If you fill your tank with fuel, every liter of fuel that you buy has levies on it. If you drive on the road now, there is a trend towards introducing toll gates. The effective tax rate is so high and so punitive. The definition of broadening the tax base in this country is really about ensuring that the same people pay more and more, instead of netting in as many people as possible. And to me, I think it's a disincentive to the supply of effort. But that notwithstanding, and that resides in the scope of cursing the darkness, that notwithstanding, the private sector should be able to say, we face these constraints, necessity knows no law, there is a limit to how much we can change the landscape, but the responsibility still resides with us to say, within this tough operating environment, how can we ensure that we take full advantage of the opportunities that exist?
One of the speakers there, the immediate past president for the MCCCI, Legani Ganandula, said that the just introduced 40% tax on each 10 billion kwacha profit that firms do make is rather punitive and could actually deter possible foreign direct investors and, of course, local investors in the country. Let's hear what Karandula had to say about this.
There are parts of the economy that are growing and parts that have gone backwards. And in the main, we end up in some areas going backwards because of lack of international competitiveness, and you end up with areas where we were producing locally, but now there is more competitive goods coming in from outside, displacing the local players. So we need to find ways of making Malawi a more competitive business environment. So issues like power supply, for instance, if it can be more abundant and more consistent, that will make it easier for industry to be more competitive. If we look at our tax structure, if it can be more competitive, it would also be great. I mean, it is not ideal that, as an example, our corporate tax rate at 40% is the highest in the Zodiak region. That is taking Malawi backwards as an investment destination. We need government to rethink that quickly and revise it so that we are not the highest taxpayer in this region. Ideally, we would be closer to the lower ones, but we know the exigencies of other demands mean that we can't get there quickly, but we certainly don't want to be the worst. We should be aiming at least being average, and whilst improving our electricity supply, improving our security around the country through better food production, because in some areas, I have a case in point, for instance, at Ilovo. I'm sure a lot of you people have seen on social media videos of people stealing sugarcane, stealing irrigation equipment. That's not a good way to advertise investment, especially when we're doing the Shire Valley Transformation Project and looking for people to invest in the valley. We need to find ways to change that picture and make sure that people can look at Malawi and see good videos, good pictures, and be attracted to come and invest in Malawi. That way we can really grow the private sector rather than shrink it, because people are finding it hard to cope here and moving and investing elsewhere.
These concerns transcend from just growing investment, but actually a growth of the country's economy. Well, that is the outgoing MCCI President Lekani Garandula. But at the conference, it was also unanimously agreed that wisely Phiri should be the next president for the MCCI, who is going to be deputized by Lloyd Mbwana, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the ICT provider TNM. To answer the concerns raised by the PCL Chief Executive, the private sector through Lekani Garandula, Minister of Trade Sosen Gwengwe did say that government is currently in the process of trying to review the tax regime to ensure that they are not punitive, they are creating an environment for investment and, of course, the country's economic growth. Let's hear from Sosen Gwengwe.
Government is working flat hours just to make sure that we stabilize the economy, because all businesses, not only in Malawi but also in the region and globally, they're going through turbulent times. And you've seen that the past 4 years since 2020, when we had COVID, it's been one shock after another, and businesses need to develop skills to be resilient, to be adaptive, and to be able to weather the storm as it is. So the conference that our business leaders are having here at Nkopola Mangochi is very important, because they'll put together plans, they'll put together ideas and strategies to make sure that they weather the storms, so that as the economy recovers, they should be in the forefront of ensuring that that recovery is solid.
Now, we have heard from the government, but on a different note, Edith Jia, who is the Group Chief Executive Officer for Old Mutual Group, says that the ATM strategy, which is agriculture, tourism and mining, is a good starting point for Malawi to venture into trying to stabilize the country's economy, and of course different players to venture into. Now let's hear her thoughts as she also shares about trying to reduce the import bill by trying to export more. The country has the market, but it could do more by not exporting but meeting the local market before thinking about exporting.
I actually mentioned, opined that agriculture, very low effort area. It's a low hanging fruit because we're already doing well. Despite the fact that we're not as productive relative to other markets, we're already doing well. We just need a little bit more effort, a little bit more capital, a little bit more technology. we can actually move it. Tourism, we have the assets, we just need to invest a bit more in infrastructure, the value chains themselves, technology, our labor need to be ready, and then we can package a product and sell it to the world. Mining, another area, we know that we have minerals. The significant constraint that we face in most mining operations currently is energy. So we need to solve for that as well. So yes, these are the areas that we have identified. I actually think that there are low-hanging fruit. There are solutions that we need to bring into book to make these things happen, to make them successful.
Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi Chief Executive Officer Kankwamba Kumwenda has disclosed plans that the company needs or wants to venture into the ICT market to compete with the traditional providers Airtel and TNM. Kankwamba did say this in Banda at their data center as they presented a 12 million kwacha check to the ICTAM, that's the ICT Association of Malawi, ahead of the ICT Expo, which is slated for the 9th and 10th May in Lilongwe. While Kankwamba Kumwenda says they are banking, or they will leverage on the vast network of their optic fiber cable network to ensure that each and every individual in the country has cheap and access to internet. Let's hear from Kankwamba Kumwenda.
We have plans to go into the internet business. We're actually establishing a subsidiary or a directorate within ESCOM, make sure that we take part in the internet business in Malawi. We have the network in all districts in Malawi, including Likoma. So basically the idea is whosoever has electricity in Malawi should be able to have access to affordable and cheaper internet that ESCOM through OFC will be providing. So we want to assist the mother body of ICT to make sure that the activities during the Expo are done successfully. So we believe that ESCOM will get a role to play going forward. We believe that the OFC business within ESCOM will be a much bigger venture than what it is now. What we are doing now is through the government, through MACRA, and through the Ministry of Information, is that we have established what we call diplomatic data corridors with our neighboring countries. What it means is that the internet that we buy offshore will be at a discounted price because it's government to government. That facility is not available to private entities. So we believe that ESCOM, when we get into this business, we should be able to bring down the cost of data in Malawi because it will be based on discounted prices offshore. So it's only ESCOM through Malawi government through ESCOM that can bring down the cost of data.
Clarence Gama, who is the ICTAM president, has hailed ESCOM for this bold step, saying once implemented, it will help to bridge the digital divide in Malawi.
So first of all, ESCOM has been a long corporate member of the ICT Association, and we are very excited to see ESCOM delve into that line of business technology, which means that they will not only be contributing more in terms of value to the association, but the association will also be contributing more. This is one area that we need a lot in Malawi. We are working a lot as a nation to ensure that there is seamless connectivity and that there is a bridge in what we call the digital divide. So this move by ESCOM will also enable access to internet, perhaps in the most remote areas. This is a very commendable, and we are very excited that ESCOM is going into this move. A lot of money that we are very excited to receive. It will go a long way with enabling our activities during the ICT Expo to take place. The Expo is happening next week from the 9th to the 10th of May at BICC in Lilongwe. The theme is Digital Transformation, a Gateway to Economic Recovery. What we should expect, amazing innovations, not just from our upcoming innovators, but from the academia, from startups, innovation hubs, but even from corporates like ESCOM, who, if they'll be showcasing, they will be showcasing their various technology.
Lilongwe says it is waiting on Maputo to fully go operational for the Mwanza 1 border post, which it is going to be sharing with the neighbors Mozambique. Well, this came out as a coordinated border management monitoring team from the Capitol Hill went to Mwanza border post just to monitor how the CBM, that's the coordinated border management, is being operationalized. We hear that currently it has reduced the downtime as different sectors or agencies that work on the border have actually synergized their operations to reduce the time that travelers and of course business people had to spend at this border post.
Okay, possibly we should differentiate the structure and the concept of concept of coordinated border management. The facilities will be opened at a date possible to be set, because we are waiting for our colleagues on the Mozambican side to complete their construction. So once they are constructing on the Mozambican side, that's when we will jointly operate the facilities. But today, we were just allocating the office space to the border agencies on the Malawian side, minus Mozambican side. Because for Mozambican side, we will have a due date, and that will be the official opening of these facilities when we meet, when our colleagues on the Mozambican side have also done their part. Yeah, the benefits is we have significantly reduced the delays that happen at the border, because the agencies, they work together in a coordinated manner instead of working individually. Under the coordinated border management, what we are saying, we want to streamline the functions of various border agencies into a few agencies that will be present at the border. So we have identified about 5 or 6 agencies which should be at the border, and they'll be able to handle all the core functions relating to other agencies that are not here at the border.
Seem to have a busy week in the week just ending, with 2 major events in the commercial capital, Banda. Domiciled right here on the banking street on Victoria Avenue, the bank did announce that its share value growth by 551.1% for the past 4 years, and the initial public offering, since the initial public offering in 2020. Now, speaking at the forum, that's an investors forum held at Mount Soji Hotel in Blantyre, the bank's managing director, Noam Kuliji, did say that they are trying to take a multifaceted approach to ensure that the market share revenue growth in 2024 is actually more significant.
No, what's in it for us is that, for example, this will be, for example, if somebody wants to buy an asset, what we'll do is we'll actually look at the cost of that asset plus a margin. So it is that margin that we believe is going to benefit us. And as a result of that, the only difference that it will be from the normal banking, conventional banking, is that there is no interest charged. For example, interest, when a facility has got an interest, what happens is if there is any change in that interest, we have to apply that interest to that particular facility. But in this particular case, it will be an agreed amount that this is supposed to be paid over, say, a period of 1 year. It will remain the same throughout that period without any changes. So any product that is supposed to be Sharia-related product, before it is rolled out, will have to be vetted by this particular Sharia Advisory Committee. Once that Sharia Advisory Committee is convinced that that particular product is Sharia compliant, then we'll be able to issue it. But without that blessing from that committee, we cannot issue it.
In the year ending 2023, FTH Bank was seen on 3rd position in terms of the market share value on the 16th counter Malawi Stock Exchange. Well, a minority shareholder, Frank Harawa, is pleased with the bank's performance.
As minority shareholders, we are very happy with the performance of our bank. We are very proud of our bank. And we sure know that with the dividend that they'll be paying, and we hope that even the share price of the stock market will be going up, and shareholders will be happy. Yeah, I think in tandem with the Vision 2063, we've seen most of the listed banks going into the region, and that was what we were asking them, because last time they said they'll be going into Mozambique, and they're trying to seal a deal there. So we're saying, where are we now, and where are the plans of us going into the region? So I think we're happy with the reply that they gave us, because they mustn't rush into going to the region. They have to make sure that they've done a good research. Otherwise, we may lose our money there as well. So we are proud with where our bank is now. You see, mining, it's a game changer for Malawi. We trust what the government is doing, and we know that Malawi want to be the same again. And any banking institution has to go close to these companies that are coming to Malawi. We've said to them, not only should they concentrate and talk to the government, but also targeting the companies themselves. Talk to them and see their plans and how they can work with them. It will be like maybe open the accounts for them and so forth. So it's a game changer. Malawi want to be the same again, and our bank has to be close to them.
Meanwhile, FDH is in business with an Islamic bank, introducing the services in its offering. Well, let's take some highlights on what transpired at the launch of this agreement for the Islamic Bank and FDH Bank.
Highlights of our engagement this morning with investors and shareholders was basically to give them an overview how we have performed as a bank for the past year, and we have also given them a synopsis of what we're going to do going forward. As we always say, that we have to grow. We don't want to stagnate. We are looking at growth plans. As you might have heard, we've been to the southern region, we've been to Mozambique. We are still making assessments as to where we should settle. So the expansion drive is still on the cards. Yes, we did revisit the strategy. We're looking at customer focus. That's the main pillar, because without a customer, we can't make business. We've looked at operational efficiency. We need to have good systems. We need to improve on our processes. We have also looked at some other issues like employees. We need to upskill their capabilities to perform well in the business. We launched the Likoma Service Center on the 11th March, to be specific, and as of now, we're talking of about 197 million in deposits and 100 plus accounts. So Likoma, in terms of customer base, is still growing. And mind you, we have another island next to Likoma Island, that's Chizumul Island. So the staff are planning to visit that island as well. So with that visit, we envisage additional numbers of customers.
Saika Mokonza Limited says there are courses that it has been offering to different players in the industry, from business, government, central medical stores and others, is going to help them double down on losses that companies and businesses have been incurring over the past few years. Odramala is the managing director for Saika Mokonza Limited and says that companies will now be able to track their inventory based on this kind of training. Mwala also did speak about preparing for retirement, which most people do not. We hear from Mara.
Inventory is a very important asset of most organizations, whereby you need to manage it properly. Because if you fail to manage it properly, it will be difficult for you to make profits. Inventory can grow wings and disappear. But at the same time, inventory can be misrepresented, whereby you are seeing that you have stock in the warehouse, but then if you don't account for it, track for it, and physically check, you find that there is actually just boxes. There is no inventory. At the end of the day, when we say a profit is about selling your goods and then taking out the expenses. And if you are not managing well your inventory, you would be saying we have goods worth this much, but now if the goods are not there, you'll be forced to write off part of the goods that have disappeared. So that writing off, it means passing a journal in the profit and loss statement, whereby it is reducing the profit that should have been there. In the end, the organization is not going to do well because it is just writing off inventory that is not there. But not only that, it is about management of the inventory itself. You need to know how to manage your inventory to ensure that you don't make losses through expiry of products. If you have received some goods today and they've been piled for a long time at a place which is far to reach, then you receive new goods and you put them at an easier place to reach. If you don't manage it properly, you end up distributing and selling or disbasing the inventory that is close to you. The other one will just be staying. In retirement planning, we are teaching people on how to plan for retirement. A lot of people have been thinking about retirement as a time where that is the end of your life. But we are sharing tips with the people that are there, that they should understand that life does not end at 60. Actually, there are people that can still be productive even at 80, even at 90. And one of the reasons why people would still be active and productive is when they are financially okay. And we are teaching them now what they can do today and going forward in order that by the time they are going into retirement and the time when they are into retirement, they should actually be productive. They should start life. In fact, they should do miracles. They should actually come up to create value and wealth that they never even created when they were working. But because they are working, we are also showing them different passive investment avenues where they can invest their money and make money. Actually, one of the things that encouraged people today was that we have one participant who attended our previous training in December 2022. And he came back to say, you know what, I implemented this training and I started my journey of investing. Right now, as I'm talking, I'm now a multimillionaire.
Well, this is where we've come to the very end of this edition of Business Now, right here on Zodiac. My name is Alex Banda. Until next time, it's goodbye.